How do you create financial momentum in your life? How do you get that engine of positive accretion to not just start, but to surge forward in your finances? How do you fundamentally change the very trajectory of your money story? That, my friends, is the secret that I'm thrilled to reveal to you in today's episode. Are you ready for it? Intentionality with Paul Kempff, for people who lead with intention and live with impact. Welcome back to the only intentional community on earth that I know of. Are you ready to dive deep into something truly transformative? Today, we're unlocking the final exhilarating piece of our 3M financial framework, momentum. But before we get to this first exciting revelation, something remarkable happened during my preparation for this episode. Something truly profound. And I mean profound in both senses of the word. First, something great and intense, and second, something showing incredible insight. The crazy truth? It's something so obvious, so simple, and yet even with my almost 30 years of experience in the financial services industry, even after more than 60 episodes of meticulously preparing and delivering content for this channel, I only truly saw this revelation this week. Realized it for the first time by complete coincidence. How wild is that? As much as I'd love to hit you with two huge revelations right now at the start of this episode, I need to build a little context first and share a short personal story with you. A few weeks ago, we embarked on a new journey here on intentionality with Paul Kempff, a powerful three-part series where we introduced the 3M financial framework, specifically designed to fundamentally change your relationship with money. Today is the culmination of this process, where, with part 3, we bring everything together beautifully with that final crucial M, momentum. In part 1, we laid the foundation for a new money story in your life with the incredibly powerful idea of your money mindset. Without this bedrock, everything else becomes exponentially more difficult. It's about rewriting the invisible script that dictates your financial decisions, moving from anxiety to peace. In part 2, we introduced the how, the mechanics of the framework that help us build the engine. We unpacked the core components of this engine: intentional spending plans, consistent saving through automation, and a foolproof strategy to tackle debt. If you haven't yet listened to part 1 and part 2 of this series, just a friendly reminder, it might be beneficial and clarifying to go back and listen to those 2 episodes first. If you want to, I suggest you pause right here. My production team has included links to these episodes in the description below. Once you're done, we'll be right here, ready with part 3. For those of you who have been following everything we do on this channel, a heartfelt thank you for your incredible support, your engagement, and your encouragement. Thank you for embarking specifically on the journey of this 3-part series. You have now spent time uncovering your personal money story and started the process of writing a new one with a brand new money mindset. You've begun building the engine that will drive your new story forward, and you're slowly figuring out what your own unique money mechanics look like. But perhaps you're struggling to stay the course. Maybe you feel yourself drifting back to your old story every now and then. You feel there's an ingredient missing, something to keep the positive energy you've created going. You need momentum. And the best way for me to reveal to you where and how to find that momentum, and to get to the second revelation I spoke about in the introduction, is to tell you that story I promised. A long, long time ago in a faraway place. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that kind of story. More recent and closer to home. When I initially started this podcast almost 2 years ago, the focus was simply supposed to be on being more intentional with your money, giving listeners advice on how to manage their money lives better. Because after all, that's the job I do, the industry I'm in. But very shortly before we started shooting the first episodes, I had a thought. Maybe that's not enough to build an entire YouTube and podcast channel around. What if I could expand it to include more than just being intentional about your money? What if I could talk about being more intentional with your money and your mind and your life in general? And that, my friends, is where the show tagline was born. Mind, money, life. But this is where the story starts to get truly interesting. Because at the time, I don't believe I fully realized the profound link, the striking similarities between our money stories and our life stories. I just thought it was about being more intentional with your money, then being more intentional with your mindset, and finally being more intentional with your life. And now, after almost 2 years and more than 60 episodes, I discovered the groundbreaking, almost embarrassingly simple revelation. The way to change your money story, the financial outcome of your life, is almost exactly the same as the way you change your life story, to change the outcome of your life in its totality. Now, just in case you're losing me here or not quite grasping the weight of what I am saying, allow me to elaborate. First, money isn't everything. Yes, it is important. Yes, it helps. Yes, up to a certain point, it can bring a level of happiness and probably a certain kind of happiness into your life. And yes, money is often used as a measuring stick for success. I'm not disputing any of this. But money is not the be-all and end-all of a life well lived, a beautiful life. What I am saying is that the methods you need to use to figure out your new money story, to change your relationship with money for the good, are almost exactly the same methods you need to use to figure out your life, to change your relationship with your own life for the good. For roughly the first 35 years of my life journey, it was a story of a good life, but with average success and a rather mediocre level of happiness. A life of ups and downs, challenges and setbacks. Now, don't misunderstand me. There were some truly amazing moments of happiness and success in those first 35 years. Certainly not everything was merely good or mediocre. And it is probably only something you realize fully when you look back. You tend to not think about it so much when you are young and you're just living your life. But there was something lacking. It felt to me like a life of missed potential, as if there was a missing ingredient I just couldn't find. Now, some people might simply refer to this realization as wisdom that comes with age. Maybe. But maybe there's also something more to it. What about the countless people that never seems to find that wisdom as they age? For the last 17 years of my life, I have slowly but surely started figuring out what those missing ingredients are and how to change the story into one of fulfilled potential. Now, this does not happen overnight. The story changes direction often. Improvement is also never a straight line. Sometimes you need to take a step back in your journey to be able to go 2 steps forward. Sometimes life forces you to take 2 steps back that you did not want to take, just to get you moving down a new path, down the right path of your life, where you eventually find your new story. If you ever look back over your life story, as I have done in preparation for this episode, you might not even be able to spot the exact moment, the exact date that things started changing, that you started writing your new story. But I will bet, if you have been through a life-changing process like this before, you have a reasonably good idea of when things started changing for you, even if it's spread over a couple of months or even a year or two. The catalyst for this change is usually the same. It starts with a decision, a profound internal declaration. I have had enough. I do not want to continue with this trajectory my life is on. I'm tired of struggling, of being unhappy, of being poor, of feeling not good enough. For everyone, that feeling is different, unique. But for everyone, it is always about making a profound decision. I want to make a change to my circumstances, my environment, my relationships, my life trajectory. Now, very importantly, the process starts with a decision. But what if you have made such a decision before in your life, and despite taking this first crucial step, it did not result in any meaningful change in your life? Under what circumstances will a decision to make a change not result in any change happening? Now, keep in mind what we are talking about here. Making a decision to change something in your life. But also remember, I'm going to show you how it applies to changing something in your money story as well. So keep both scenarios in mind. Change does not occur when three crucial things do not happen. First, a mindset shift. The decision to change must result in a mindset change. Your everyday thinking, the way you approach everything in your life, has to change. Second, clear mechanics. You need to be very clear on how you are going to make the change, what that change will look like, and what needs to happen for you to be able to make that change work. And third, sustained momentum. You need to figure out how to keep going, how to handle setbacks and missteps, how to keep the momentum building, how to make the change stick. And that is exactly what I've been doing in my life for the last 17 years. Let me give you some practical examples. First, in terms of the mindset, always thinking positive, focusing on the positives in your life, fostering a gratitude mindset, focusing on an abundance mindset. And this aligns perfectly with the first M of our financial framework. Second, the mechanics. This step started with intentionality for me. Being more intentional in everything you do, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors. Figuring out what needed to change in every aspect of your life that would give you the engine to drive your own success. Health, fitness, relationships, communication, learning, work. Setting targets and goals, and being intentional about each and every aspect of your life. Intentionally chasing every target and goal. Something I've been speaking about now in more than 60 episodes of this podcast and YouTube channel. And then third, the momentum to keep this process of continuous improvement going. The secret to unlocking the power of accretion in your life, as I've spoken about so many times before. For me, it was simple. Implementing good habits and getting rid of bad habits. I know it sounds like a massive oversimplification, but I can attest to the fact that it really, truly works. And if we look at this story about changing a life, changing a new story, it is almost exactly what the 3M financial framework is. It is two sides of the same coin. Changing your life, changing the money story in your life. Money mindset, money mechanics, money momentum. And there I have given you the groundbreaking secret I promised at the beginning of this episode. To find momentum, all you need are better habits, more good habits, less bad habits. Want me to make it even more practical to help with the money momentum? Let's go for it. So what are the list of good habits, of tools you can use to build the momentum of your money story? This is where the rubber meets the road, where intention becomes action, and action becomes an unstoppable force. I've addressed these good money habits countless times before in previous episodes. most specifically in episodes 1 to 10 of Intentionality with Paul Kempff. This was at a time when I was still learning the art of podcasting and content creation. So I'm not even sure that I want you to go back to those episodes and watch them. I cringe a little when I relook at some of what we have done in the past, but I choose to focus on the positives here. How much this show has grown and improved over the last 2 years, and the fact that there are still some really powerful and valuable ideas around good money habits in those first 10 episodes. So I've chosen just 5 very practical money habits that might seem obvious, but they could just be the starting point, the catalyst you need to create the momentum of your new money story. If you can follow my advice here and implement all 5 in your life right away, great. But let's be realistic in your goals here. Choose one that resonates most with you and start small. Master these habits one at a time and see the momentum building in the background. So habit number 1 is track your progress. This is by far my favorite habit because this is the one that got me started on my new money journey. And it speaks beautifully to the OCD tendencies in my personality. Remember, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. Become good at keeping track of your finances. This goes beyond a budget or intentional spending plan. This is about accurately knowing what you are spending your money on, being able to know if you're moving forward or backward every month, every year, understanding the intricate details and dynamics of your finances on a level that you have maybe never thought of before. Measure improvement. Make sure you are always moving forward. Do not just guess. You may just be fooling yourself how well you are actually doing with your money. This tracking creates a direct feedback loop. When you see progress, it fuels motivation. When you see a deviation, you can correct course. It's about showing up for your money consistently. Habit number 2, understand the value of small changes and that every rand matters. Small expenses add up to cause big problems or to create big opportunities in your life. Remember my example of the cost of cigarettes in one of my much earlier episodes? Not picking on the smokers here, but I still think it is a great example. But if you prefer, you can use a daily coffee you buy or anything else you spend your money on with any kind of regularity. My simplified calculation of the cost of smoking over a 30-year period showed a difference of 4 million rand in your investments by the time you retire. So take a critical look at your small daily expenses. Where can you redirect those funds better? Habit number 3, stop repeating the same mistakes. I know this sounds so obvious, but so many people get stuck in a cycle, especially when it comes to their money. Look back at your financial missteps in your past. What were the triggers? What were the patterns? The definition of insanity, as they say, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Instead, view each mistake as an opportunity for learning, a data point in your journey towards mastery. Identify one recurring financial mistake you make. What single small change can you implement this week to break that pattern? My favorite example of this that I always use is debt consolidation. People get into trouble because of debt. They need to restructure things because they cannot afford to keep up with their debt repayments. They resort to debt consolidation. They then can start breathing again because the credit cards are paid off. And what happens next in most of these stories? They immediately start making new debt again, repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Habit number 4, defy the more and better mindset. The world we live in today constantly dictates more and better all the time. Peer pressure, keeping up with the Joneses, the social media comparison game. Get off this train as young as you can. Who says every time you earn more money in your life, you need to increase your standard of living? A more expensive car, a bigger house, designer clothes, a flashier lifestyle. What if instead you consciously froze your standard of living somewhere in your life and rather started investing more every time you earn more. Imagine the exponential growth. It's about the intentional living and directing your resources towards what truly matters to you long term. What societal pressures are influencing your spending, and how can you intentionally redirect those resources? And then habit number 5, master delayed gratification and sacrifice. Learn the immense value of delaying instant gratification for greater future rewards as early as you can in life. Make it a habit. In a world of instant downloads and next day delivery, the ability to wait, to sacrifice a small pleasure today for a massive gain tomorrow is a superpower. This is about prioritizing your future self. It's about understanding that financial freedom isn't about having more now, but about consciously choosing to have enough now so you can have abundance later. Identify one area where you can practice delayed gratification this week. Perhaps a small luxury you can defer for a month and invest the savings. Get into the habit of taking your time before spending your money. You have done the incredible work of setting your foundation, mindset. You have built an engine to power your intention, mechanics. And now you have the tools to give that engine a direction and let it build unstoppable momentum for the rest of your life. This is the continuous feedback loop of consistent, intentional action leading to inevitable results. Once you have mastered these fundamentals, the next step, the next chapter in your money story is all about financial planning. And interestingly enough, the face of financial planning is changing, and it's changing fast. AI has entered this industry that I work in. DIY financial planning, especially with the help of AI, is increasingly being used, especially by younger individuals. And there are some really interesting solutions emerging at the intersection of DIY financial planning and AI. For now, my recommendation will be to explore all options available to you, but I still believe there's an incredibly important role to play for face-to-face financial planning. But the traditional role of a financial planner is also evolving and should keep on evolving. For example, including things like financial behavioristics and becoming a true financial coach to clients. Final thought, and it's a challenge to you. Yes, there have been many challenges and calls to action in these 3 episodes, but I like this one a lot. It simply requires you to do some introspection and thinking. Your money needs a why. Get crystal clear in your mind on why you are building wealth. A clear why will help keep you disciplined and focused in difficult times. It's the fuel for your momentum when even the good habits start to falter. One powerful way to develop this why is to ask yourself the following 2 important questions. First, if I had complete financial freedom, the most important thing it would give me is the time to do what? And second, the 3 most important things wealth can provide for me and my family are ? See if you can answer these challenging questions this week. This is not just the end of an episode. It's the end of the beginning. You now have the mindset, the mechanics, and the momentum to build a truly intentional financial life. Use the principle I have discussed in this episode, in this series, to change your money story. And remember my 2 big revelations in this episode. First, it is your habits that create momentum. And second, changing the money story in your life might just be the catalyst to change your entire life story, because the process, the mechanics are similar. That brings us to the end of this episode and my recommendation of the week on IWPK. A quick and simple one, but extremely relevant for the end of our part 3 of the Financial Framework series. If you are looking for an experienced, trusted person to help you with your financial planning, you can contact the FFG Group. We have included the links to their website in the show notes. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, the FFG group of companies. Take another step into living a more intentional life by being more intentional with your finances and insurance. As a trusted provider of a wide range of financial services, the FFG Group offers innovative, tailored solutions that help companies and individuals thrive and flourish. They are an amazing company that I believe in because they embody intentionality in everything they do, and I'm proud to partner with them. FFG is an authorized financial services provider. Ready to take the next step? Click the link below and start making better, more intentional financial decisions, or visit their website. Remember, with FFG, you create the memories, we ensure the journey. Until our next episode, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and stay intentional in everything you do every single day. You've been listening to Intentionality, where we grow together. Please like, subscribe, and leave us a rating. And if this helped you today, share it with someone else on the same journey. Until next time, keep showing up with intention.